Anyone who says they don't love Monaco is lying. They're lying.
Off the line, Max went nowhere. His car just, it stalled and his race was over before it even started. It was like a casino dealer just penalty, 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 penalty. Yeah, we've got the car, I've got the experience, I'm it this year. And he was the first race, and then
Kimi said, hold my beer.
I have to stop you. Enough. No, 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 no more. No more, no more negativity against Ferrari. Welcome back to Away We Go podcast.
Are you ready?
And it's lights out and away we go.
Hello, hello, and welcome back to Away We Go podcast, a Formula One podcast that goes beyond the track limits to talk about travel and lifestyle surrounding the sport. I'm your host, Diane Bortoletto, and today I'm in a wintry Margaret River. And joining me is Kira Gillen from Formula Life Pulse. Hello, Kira.
Hi, and I'm in a summery Berlin.
Lovely. And we've just had the pinnacle of all races, the creme de la creme as far as prestige goes on the calendar with the Monaco Grand Prix. So a 78-lap race around the Principality of Monaco, a race that has been criticised lots in the past for being
Boring.
Well, yeah, boring, a procession, if you like, just because the streets are narrow, the walls are close, the cars are wider, and overtaking is really difficult. But as far as glamour, celebrity, all of that goes with Formula One, it doesn't get any better than Monaco, and I love it.
Anyone who says they don't love Monaco is lying. They're lying. But I will admit that boring is a word that I could use for Monaco. That it's a bit too, because the overtaking is minimal. There is a risk that it's just going to be a very straightforward race. That was not. That was such an entertaining, crazy, wild race.
Wild.
Even though the order did change. Even though the winner, the projected winner from quali didn't change, the rest behind of it was just like this firestorm of craziness. Can't wait to talk about it.
Yes, well, it was, let's start off with the youngster, the 19-year-old Kimi Antonelli, who took pole position, led every single lap of the race and won the race. Grand slam for Monaco for Kimi Antonelli. He is just racking up stats, isn't he, in the history books for being the youngest of so many things. Youngest ever winner of Monaco, youngest ever race leader, youngest ever championship leader. Congratulations to the young Italian. I was cheering for him. It was fantastic to see.
Oh, it really was. He's got such a nice attitude, despite the fact that he's won the last 5 races and is admittedly wiping the floor with Russell. He doesn't have any arrogance. We don't know what's going to happen later in the season, but, he's still very sweet. He's still very kind of humble. He appreciates how difficult it was. He knew how difficult that quali was. He knew how difficult that race was. He also was tested a lot. That red flag, like that poor guy, it is nice to watch. Again, there's a little part of me that's going, we're going to have a Max 2023 in 2026 where Kimi's winning all the races. I will get a little bit bored. But it also is history in the making, and it's really cool to watch.
I won't get bored because an Italian's leading the championship, and I love that.
Fairness, I shouldn't. I'm dating an Italian. I shouldn't get bored.
You could be onto something because I've got some interesting stats here about Kimi Antonelli. So after 6 races, he's leading the championship by 66 points. After 6 races in 2021, Max was leading by 4 points. In 2022, Max was leading by 9 points. In 2023, Max was leading by 39 points. In 2024, Max was leading the championship by 31 points. And in 2025, Oscar was leading the championship by 3 points. So for Kimi, after 6 races to be leading by 66 points, nearly double, not quite double, what Max's biggest margin at the same point in the season, that is something. And we know, yes, there's a lot of factors at play before people start coming at me. The new era of cars, Mercedes clearly have a dominant car, but, look at his teammate.
if we're realistic about it, if we take 2023, that's the year that Max dominated. Red Bull won all the races bar Singapore. So Perez and him swapped a couple of races at the start of the season with the wins. But Max won everything bar Singapore. It was really impressive, you know what I mean? So for Kimi, I don't think we can underplay this. I don't think people can, because really George isn't performing. You know what I mean? And Kimi is. It's not that like, oh, all these things have happened. It's like, okay, yeah, George had an issue last week, a technical issue that he couldn't control. But like the reality is that Kimi is stepping up every single week, and he's converting, he's getting pole, and he's converting it. You know, and I think he's a mini champion in the making. Mini because he's only 19.
Do keep calling him a generational talent, as you know we have said in the past. But you're right. It's not a fluke now. He's doing it consistently. And at the start of the season, with this new era of car, brand new car that all the drivers had to sort of tackle and learn how to manage. Yeah, Kimi didn't have great race starts for the first couple of races, but now he's proven he can get the car off the line as quick as those slingshot Ferraris, even quicker than the slingshot Ferraris. Full testament to him. I'm just absolutely thrilled for him and his family. He just seems to come from such a wholesome family, always thanking his parents. His parents are always, one of them, always there at the race, and it's just a lovely story.
It's heartwarming. Yeah, 100%. 100%.
Very exciting news in second place. We saw Lewis Hamilton in the Ferrari taking the second step, which was, again, fantastic to see Lewis on the podium at Monaco, Lewis on the podium for Ferrari. It wasn't an easy race for him either. And in third place, we had Isack Hadjar from Red Bull, which is incredible. He had a really difficult race, and he was just fighting that car the whole time, wasn't he? He just was plagued with issues and complaining on the radio that the car had no power, and he was screaming at his race engineer in Isack's emotional way that we've, you know, come to know him to be. Let's just start with the race. Okay, so we had, that's the top three. We had Kimi on pole, as we said. Max qualified in second. Max was feeling pretty confident, I would say, just judging by the interviews that I saw after qualifying and ahead of the race. He was sitting in second place, Lewis Hamilton in third, Leclerc in fourth, Isack Hadjar in fifth, George Russell sixth, and then Oscar Piastri and Lando Norris in the McLarens in seventh and eighth, Pierre Gasly in ninth in the Alpine, and Liam Lawson qualified in the top 10 for Racing Bulls, which is great for Liam. That was the top 10 starting grid, and then lights went out, off the line. Max went nowhere. His car just, it stalled, and his race was over before it even started.
I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe it. As you said, like, he was so positive. He kept saying in all his interviews, he's like, well, if you told me Friday that I'd be second, if you told me on Saturday I'd be second, I would have taken it. I'm so happy. You know, like, obviously he wants to be first. He had gotten pole, but, you know, he was really positive about it and thought that they had a real shot. And then the car didn't move. I was like, and the reaction time from the car behind to get around him, like, oh my God, it could have been a pile up, but it was crazy. It was, we did not see that coming. And then it was like, oh my God, Lewis is now second. What's going to happen? Charles third, like, you know, and he thought, okay, the structure of the race is possibly changing. You know, maybe the guys now have a chance, keep Max out of the way. That didn't happen. That was the first retirement of many. Yeah, it was mad. Poor Max. I did feel for him.
Yeah, I didn't really, but that's, you know, fair. I like seeing Max not winning. I like him a whole lot more as a driver now that he's not winning everything.
It is entertaining.
As far as like Monaco goes, you're right. It was lucky that the start line wasn't a massive pile up once Max's car was out of the way and they continued racing. But Kimi Antonelli got in the lead, and his lead just kept increasing and increasing. And his race engineer Bono was saying, ease up. We don't need fastest lap. We don't need the fast. You've got a good margin now. You've got a pit stop margin. And Kimi just wasn't listening and going for it. As far as like the DNFs go, yeah, so Max was first. Then we had on lap none, first lap 0. Then Valtteri Bottas in the Cadillac retired. And then Ollie Behrman retired in the Haas on lap 27. Then Lando Norris had a power unit failure on lap 43. So that's another retirement for the reigning world champion. Not great for McLaren. And Zach Brown was very, very, I don't think I've ever heard him so deflated in an interview before. So the Sky Sports feed, they crossed to Zach during the race a couple of times, and he was just not his usual over-exuberant self. Then Lance Stroll, this is an interesting one, lap 56. So he crashed coming into a corner, the corner where they were saying the tarmac was lifting off the surface of the track. And as a result of the tarmac lifting off, there were lots of stones on the track that were getting picked up by the warm tyres. And then when he went to turn the car, he couldn't turn the car and went straight into the wall. So that was on lap 56. Then 8 laps later, same thing happened to Charles Leclerc. Same thing, like bang, straight into a wall. And then that red flagged the race, right? So that stopped the race. They had, there was something only like 14 laps left for the whole race to be over. So they stopped the race. All the drivers went back into the pits. They cleared the Ferrari out of the way. And the standing order at that point was Kimi, number 1, Lewis in second place. And then the restart of the race, I was so nervous for Kimi because they were going to do a standing restart, which they didn't tell us on the Sky Sports broadcast anyway, until the very last minute. I don't think it was announced by the FIA whether it was going to be a rolling restart behind a safety car or a standing restart. So I was so nervous I would have been happy if Lewis won the race. But for Kimi, I felt like he deserved the win because he'd been leading the whole race up until that point. For a standing start on the front row, next to a Ferrari, which is known for their slingshots, next to Lewis Hamilton, who he watched growing up and who inspired him to be a Formula One driver in the first place, in Monaco as well. Like, the pressure would have just been intense. But credit to the kid, he did it, right? The lights went out for the restart and Kimi Antonelli shot to the front, and that's where he stayed, and he just kept going and increased his lead and ended up winning by over 6 seconds, which is in 14 laps. That's a decent margin.
I mean, he was so impressive. He kept a cool head with that restart. I mean, the commentators were saying afterwards that he didn't want to. He was kind of really, actually, he even said it himself in an interview. He's like, I really didn't want to have to go back out there. At one point before that even red flag came, Bono was like, we have a free pit stop here if you want to take it, like change your tires, whatever. And he was like, no, I don't want to. He didn't even, I think, want to actually change his tires when they didn't they change his tires at one point? And he was like, I'm fine, leave me. So he had such control over that race. He really did. It never looked in doubt in many ways. And then to get back on that track and have to restart, and like, you can honestly say now that his starts are not in question. That Ferrari did not look as fast as Mercedes at all. The slingshot that they had is, inverted commas, now gone because Mercedes have figured it out, and Kimi was able to handle it perfectly. So yeah, it's really impressive.
Yes, I think we are all just witnessing history here, and it's, and the fact that it's, by an Italian just makes me, my husband said to me, he goes, oh, so you're a Mercedes fan now? And I went, no, I am a Ferrari fan, but I'm also Australian, so I'm an Oscar fan, and I'm Italian, so I am a Kimi Antonelli fan. And if you don't understand that, well, then we need to sit down and have a serious talk.
Makes 100% sense to me, definitely.
But speaking of Lewis Hamilton, right, another great stat here is that Lewis holds the record with Ayrton Senna for the most Monaco podiums in the history of Formula One. So they both hold 8 podiums each. Graham Hill has 7 and Michael Schumacher has 7 as well. Ayrton has got the edge at the moment because he had 6 wins and 2 second places, whereas Lewis has got 3 wins, 3 seconds and 2 thirds. 8 apiece on the podium. When they were interviewing Lewis and they told him that, you could just see him going, wow, like, I've equaled Ayrton's record, which is, that's something.
Yeah, his little face, like he held it well, because I think he didn't want to get carried away. But like, I think his little face just like lit up, and he was just like, oh, as you said, wow. Like, he seemed very chuffed by that, very proud of that, and rightly so, rightly so. Yeah. So yeah. And it was so funny to just see him. I mean, obviously when you win a podium, you're in a great place. Like, and, obviously some people can be disappointed with second and, et cetera, et cetera. But Lewis, because obviously the podiums don't come very often with Ferrari, he just seems to be in such good form and so, happy and delighted to be there. And so it was really cool to see him. We were watching the post-race interview with the three of them on the couch, and he was there taking selfies with the two lads. And he was like, at one point he was like, someone said to me before he came out here, he was like, your age is over, the two of them, their age, Hadjar and Antonelli, ages combined, is still less than your age.
Right.
Because they're 19 and 21. But yeah, they're 19 and 21.
Wow. I mean, that.
I think Lewis is 41. Yeah.
And I did hear that it was the podium with the 1-2 with the biggest age gap, because Kimi's 19 and Lewis is 40.
Yeah. I think he's 41. I think he's 41. I think he's 41.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's crazy stat, right? Like,
very funny. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh,
Love us.
Great. Yeah. Going back to the Senna comment, I think Lewis is spiritually Brazilian. Like he's an honorary citizen of Brazil. Ayrton was his hero growing up, his Formula One kind of inspiration. I saw a clip during the week where a reporter was asking him about the World Cup and, who he'd be cheering for. Would he be cheering for, England or Brazil? And he said, oh, Brazil. I've always cheered for Brazil. Like, they're my number one team, and I just love the country and the passion of the people. And also he went on to say that he really, like, the footballers in Brazil, a lot of them come from nothing. Like, they don't come from, wealthy families and things like that. And, the Pele story, for example, is a classic. Yeah, I love that about Lewis. Yeah. So that's another little fun fact, I suppose.
It was special, for sure.
All right. Now, running through the rest of the top 10 quickly. So the top 3 we've got covered. We probably need to talk about Isack a little more.
Yeah.
Yeah. He finished in 3rd just before we carry on. Isack, he's had real gremlins with his Red Bull car, didn't he? And he was just grumpy on the radio the whole race, and a credit to him to finish in 3rd place. I wasn't sure if that result would stand because he was given a warning or was noted for, was it a safety car infringement?
Who knows? There were several. I think he had 2 warnings for 2 different things. Like, I think one was a safety car infringement, and I think another one was a red flag infringement. Like, it was ridiculous, the amount of penalties they were giving out and the way they were doing them. I'm so glad the drivers don't hear about all this stuff, because as a viewer, as a spectator, it was very stressful knowing, oh, Lewis has a safety car infringement. He got a 5-second penalty for speeding in the pit lane. So-and-so got a 5-second penalty for speeding in the pit lane. There were so many. And it kind of seemed ridiculous, but just with regards Hadjar. So he had, at the end, it was a question over whether he was going to get that podium and keep it. And thankfully they didn't take it away from him. So that's great. I mean, yeah, he was giving out, but he had a Mercedes up his ass. Like, I think he performed really well. Didn't he have Russell behind him? And Russell, obviously determined, wanted to make him make a mistake, because obviously there's nowhere to overtake really in Monaco. So the only way really is to make him make a mistake. And so he's got this car that's basically kind of, for want of a better term, uncontrollable beneath him. And then he's got this guy pushing up on who's, in all things considered, Russell probably was faster. So he was so impressive. I was okay with him being narky,
I agree. He really held it together under all that pressure. The stress of the car, with the issues with the car that he had, as well as the pressure that he had from Russell. But you're right about the penalties. It was like a casino dealer, just penalty, 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 penalty. It just really, I think there was something crazy, like 9 penalties for the pit lane infringement, speed infringement. And I've seen a video online since about how they calculate the speed of the pit lane. And it's a timed loop. So they time the car when they enter the pit lane, they time the car when it stops, and the average time of that's how they calculate the speed. But because the road into the pit lane curves, some of the drivers may cut the corner and make get from A to B quicker than if they'd taken the full. It just blows my mind in this day and age, with all the tech available in Formula One, that they are using this archaic system for determining the speed in the pit lane. surely they could just have more accurate radar guns or, like we have on the side of the road to that clock our speeding. Like, surely that's more accurate. You'd think a laser of some sort. Okay, I'm not an engineer. I could be wrong. Back in 1989, what's going on? The fact there were so many penalties, it was ridiculous. Like George Russell got something like 3 penalties because when he did pit under a safety car, they double stacked and they didn't serve his 5-second penalty when he pitted. So then he got another penalty for not serving his 5-second. Oh, George Russell just had an absolute nightmare of a race. The Formula One gods are not smiling on him at all at the moment. All their love is going to Kimi Antonelli, and George Russell is getting nothing. He has not paid his dues to the Formula One gods, whatever that is,
100%, 100% agree with all of this. I'm laughing to myself as someone standing on the side with a speed gun. I 100% think they should be doing that. You'd think somebody in the FIA would have gone, oh, hang on a second, that's the 3rd penalty for speeding. But that's the 4th one. Maybe there's something wrong here. These guys have driven in Monaco how many times? They've driven in all these other races, but like for so many of them, 6 or whatever, to have gotten it. Gasly got it twice. Gasly got a speeding penalty twice. I mean, come on. No one stopped and went, hang on a second, there's an issue.
Yeah, one of those penalties for Gasly, I think his speed was 60.1 kilometres per hour, not 60 kilometres an hour. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's like just round down to the nearest 10th, and that cost him 3rd place. So,
well, I did see a headline last night. I didn't get a chance to look at it that they were contesting it, but because I was wondering about all these penalties, and I was thinking, maybe people would contest it and the final order be reshuffled. But then when Gasly got a 2nd penalty, and then Russell got that drive-through penalty, it just muddied it too much that it couldn't be undone. 60.1 is disgraceful. It is disgraceful to give a penalty on that. Like, that is just unsportsmanship. That is just. I can't even, like,
I mean, it should be, that should be a warning, and, maybe like a warning 3 times. If it's, say, 60.2 or less, then maybe that's a warning.
Yeah.
60.3 or 4, perhaps that's, I don't know. But it was ridiculous. It was just like a red card happy ref, just pulling out red cards in a soccer match or a football match.
But it is the 2nd race in a row that they've done that, right? They've been in Canada, weren't they handing out penalties like it was nobody's business? Look, I get it, and I get that rules are rules, and I get that you kind of need to enforce them, etc. But there's certain stuff that is just like I feel like the benefit of the doubt could be given a little bit more. Like, I watch F2 and F3, and I'll give a shout out because there's 2 Irish guys in F2 and F3 who are, doing well. But I watch them, and their penalties are very, like, they're giving out a lot.
Oh, really? Yep.
He said, asked Sonny about it, and he's like, well, because they're young, they need to learn, that they do give out harsh penalties for these things. And so when you get to Formula One, of course, penalties happen and accidents happen and crashes happen and But like, there's stuff that really where you kind of go, okay, I think we can give a little bit of benefit of the doubt here. I think we can kind of scale back. And I feel yesterday they just went crazy. And as you said, Gasly lost out on podium, which is really kind of unfair. I'm delighted to see Hadjar get the podium, but it really was unfair for Gasly. But just going back really quickly to Russell, 100% think that man has not paid his dues. Something went wrong. I think, and this is awful to say, but I'm going to say it. I think Russell saw, we've got a great car. I've got an 18-year-old teammate. This is going to be the year for me. And I think Russell, there was a little bit of nonchalance or arrogance, if you want to go a little bit more negatively, on his part, where he thought, this is in the bag. I've got a really fast car. No one's going to catch me. This is in the bag.
Yep.
And unfortunately, that hasn't happened. He's made mistakes, Okay, certain things haven't been his fault, but he has made mistakes,
Yeah, he's made mistakes. There's been some luck go against him. Maybe those mistakes have been driven from pressure. But either way, yes, I agree. I think he sort of swaggered into the start of this season, didn't he? Like, yeah, we've got the car, I've got the experience, I'm it this year. And he was the first race, and then
Kimi said, hold my beer.
Exactly. Kimi was like, hold my beer, I've got this. Yeah, that's hysterical. Yeah, it's so true. But yeah. Oh, it's exhausting. Moving through the top 10 then of the rest of the field. So Oscar Piastri, the Australian, hooray, he finished in 4th place in the McLaren, and I was kind of hoping he might get on the podium if Isack Hadjar's penalty was firstly decided before the podium, which it didn't seem likely it was going to be, but no, that wasn't to be. Liam Lawson, 5th in Racing Bulls. He had a stonker of a race. It was a great race for him, and then his teammate Arvid Lindblad, also in Racing Bulls, in 6th place. Pierre Gasly ended up in 7th as a result of his time penalties. Alex Albon in 8th. We're going to talk about Williams as well. Esteban Ocon in the Haas in 9th. And my God, I just saw this. Fernando Alonso finished in the top 10. Fernando Alonso finished in the top 10 in an Aston Martin. I don't know where my brain was last night. I was just in Kimi land, just celebrating the young Italian and not even thinking about the rest of the field. Wow, that's mega. That's mega.
Well, it is mega, but actually what happened was Cadillac Perez got the point. And then they took it away from him. So at the end of the race, Perez was 10th. And then they took it away from him because Perez got a penalty. So it is mega. Either way, it would have been mega because it was Cadillac's first point, but instead it's Aston Martin's first point. So hooray for Aston Martin.
Yes, I do remember that now, that it was Cadillac's first point, and I have only just looked at the revised results now, and wow. So the DNFs. Oh, God, sit down. We've got a list. It's just, oh, yeah. So Carlos Sainz, lap 70. So he was out. We've talked about Charles Leclerc and Lance Stroll and Lando and Ollie and Valtteri and Max. There were 7 DNFs. Like, just 7 DNFs out of a field of 22. That's nearly 30% of the field. Wow.
It's a war of attrition. It really was. Like, it was crazy how high it was, and seems to just be getting higher. I mean, I think Monaco was a bit of an anomaly yesterday with regards to DNFs, but yeah, it was high. But I was going to say about Carlos, I really felt so sorry for Williams. I felt sorry for a lot of people in this race. I felt massively sorry for Charles, massively sorry for Gasly, obviously Max at the beginning, Norris, but Carlos, I just thought it was so unfair. Like, you know, what was Hulkenberg doing? Like, I get that was a corner and it was tight and whatever else, but like, do come on. And actually the real blooming culprit was Russell. Russell had taken off at the restart.
I thought you were going to say Colapinto.
No, well, Colapinto was later. He hit him twice. Yes. He hit him the second time. No. The culprit was Russell. Russell overtook, but then Russell didn't have the speed, which I probably shouldn't blame Russell, but I'm going to blame Russell. And so the whole field backed up. And the whole, you know, and then there was a bunch of back 5 or 6 cars, and then Hulkenberg clipped Sainz. And I felt for them. I'm so glad it wasn't Albon, because poor Albon, with the swap of the positions, and then he was really was upset about it. And I think he was really worried he was going to lose his points finish, which I totally understand. And so they'd gotten themselves back in the points, the two of them. They were back in their ways they should be. Albon first, Carlos second. You know, they got the red flag, and Lindblad pitted, and you thought, oh my God, now they're not going to both be in the points. But then Charles crashed, so you're like, oh great, they're both in the points now.
It was really unfortunate for Carlos, yeah. So he got clipped by Hulkenberg, and then that sort of pushed his car off alignment, and then Franco Colapinto came in behind, clipped Sainz again, which spun Sainz around the wrong way, damaged the car, out of the race. So that all happened after the restart, after the red flag, after Charles Leclerc was, you know, caused that red flag with his off. Oh, just terrible luck. And then, team orders from Williams to, you know, for Alex Albon to back the field up to, you know, create a buffer so Carlos could get a pit stop without losing track position, and that old game that we saw last year, which is totally legal, but it does feel unsportsmanlike, but it is totally legal, and it just goes against the DNA of every racer, right? Go slower, because that's not what they're built to do. It's not how they're programmed.
True. Yeah. But I love that they do it, and I love that it's poor Alvin there on his softs, and he's like, you know. And like, look, it worked out in the end, because at one point where, he was overtaken by Lindblad, and I thought, oh my God, Alvin's losing his position now, and I gutted for him. And then I realized Limbaugh had to pit. And that was quite a risky strategy by Racing Bulls, that they left him so late to pit him. I can't believe they were waiting for a red flag and they got it.
They got
Like
one.
they didn't pit. They didn't pit under the 2 yellow flags. I was like, what are you waiting for? Oh, red flag.
Waiting for a red flag, and they got it. And, you know, it paid dividends. They had 2 Racing Bulls finish 5th and 6th for, you know, essentially a backmarker team or a lower midfield team, but not anyone. The Alpine is showing real promise, and my God, I'm still just coming to terms with Fernando Alonso getting a point in the top 10. Oh, bless the old boy. Good on him. That's great.
Did he even have any kind of presence in that race? Yeah, it's quite shocking, but delighted for him.
Didn't even see him.
Yeah.
Exactly, but hardly even saw him in the broadcast. Someone we did see in the broadcast once or twice, or maybe 4 times, was Kim Kardashian, who made her Formula One debut of course, her debut at a track would be Monaco, right? Of course, it made perfect sense. On the Sky Sports feed, like Martin Brundle does the grid walk, and he goes along the grid and, you know, tries to interview celebrities. And in Monaco, that grid is honestly, it is jam-packed like a Chinese train station or a London tube during peak hour. And you can barely move. And he said about 3 times during the grid walk, you don't need to push me, mate, because he was getting pushed and shoved by people trying to move through. Anyway, he tried to have a chat with Kim Kardashian and she totally snubbed him and then kind of pretended that she couldn't really hear and that she was sort of halfway talking to someone else. It was orcs.
I saw a bit of backlash about that, and it's funny, I've been thinking about it and I was like, I wonder if it's just she just didn't want to be caught out, you know what I mean? Like, they interviewed Colin Farrell a couple of races ago and his knowledge of Formula One was so impressive and it was great and whatever else. And I just wonder if maybe part of her, I'm giving her the benefit of the doubt, but like that just didn't want to be asked something that she didn't have an answer to or be made look stupid or whatever. Like, she's got such a profile and such a curated profile, you know. I don't know. I mean, it is a pity because it would have been nice to hear her. I really like her. I'm a big fan of Kim Kardashian. I've issues with the Kardashians on certain things, mainly the way they talk about their body and the way they aren't honest about the stuff that they've done to their bodies. But I find her very impressive, and I find what she has done and how she's made her career and how I just find her impressive. And she's quite smart as well, you know. So I'm, you know, I don't know, maybe it was just one of those things that she just did and she got caught off. And then once you react a certain way, you can't go back. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. I don't know. So,
I don't know, but I mean, she was there with her sister, and I think Chloe got mentioned once, but Kim got mentioned, you know, over and over again. And, you know, look, I like the star quality that Monaco attracts, that Formula One attracts. And to be honest, I'm getting a little tired of the rhetoric we're hearing all the time at the moment about Formula One is now entering fashion and Formula One is now entering celebrity. And I'm like, guys, it's always been that way. Like, it's just that no one really paid attention, you know, like you guys never really paid attention, but it's always had some elements of Hollywood glamour, especially Monaco. It's always had that. Like, oh God, maybe I've been drinking a cranky juice this morning. I don't know.
No, I understand exactly what you're saying. It's funny. I think Drive to Survive obviously did a lot for the sport, but obviously did a lot of damage to the sport, because I think it brings in this audience that just is kind of there for the celebrityism of it and the drama of it and whatever else, which is great. And that's what and there's always been drama in Formula One, and I think it's really important. But I think you're right that, like, I think people are looking at it through a certain lens rather than going, actually, Formula One has always had all these ingredients. You guys just didn't care about it. But now that it's become a documentary on Netflix and, you know, and they've all got Instagram pages, now we're interested. Where it's like, no, actually, Formula One has always been drama and filled with all this glamour and glitz and and oil and fast cars and whatever else, you know what I mean? And so 100% agree with what you're saying. And
it's always been like drivers with pretty girls, always in Formula One, drivers with models and Hollywood stars on the grid, and it's just always been that way. Like, just look at the James Hunt era. Anyway.
Right. Anyway. But can I just say really quickly about Kim, though? I just remember before we talked about it, and I was a bit on the fence about her and Lewis. And then I saw them, and I actually I do think they're cute, and I do think they're sweet, and I wish them all the luck. Seeing her down on the thing and filming him, and then him blowing her a
Princess was
kiss, and
kissing
then
him. Yeah.
yeah, do you know what I mean? I just thought, yeah, you know what? You both deserve happiness. I mean, she's had a run of bad luck in general with a lot of the guys that she's dated. And, you know, he hasn't really been in anything, from what you can see, anything serious since Nicole Scherzinger, which is back in 2015. Yeah, I hope that they're able to create a life for each other, and, you know, that's real. And he got asked about her in the post-race interview when he was on the couch. I didn't even really hear the question, but he didn't answer it. And then the main guy was like, oh, and just, you know, about the certain someone, you know. And so he spoke about her very briefly, very shyly, but very honestly. And he was like, she supports me every single day, and it's great. And he talked about his friends and having all this support around him. And I just thought, oh, okay, yeah, it's not just glitz and glamour. It's actually real. I think they're cute.
Yeah, I've seen a few clips. I saw a clip of them riding a bike together in Canada, I think it was, in Montreal. And
Let's talk about Mohammed bin Sulayem and his desire to get rid of the term limits, which I am like is disgraceful. I really hope he does not get away with this. But I was really surprised to learn. I kind of been following it at the time, but didn't fully understand that when there's a new person wanting to run against him for election, he has to approve that person and their list of supporters or whatever.
Yeah.
Is that possible? How is the current sitting president allowed to approve the potential other president? When you've got a megalomaniac like him, he's never going to approve anybody. It doesn't make any sense.
It's like that young Italian that was running up against him in the last FIA elections. Your list of kind of supporters has to be a FIA approved person it had to be one in each kind of region, like however the FIA splits up the world into regions. And there's only one in South America who gave their support to MBS. So she didn't have a chance. She couldn't get the support that she needed to run. It's just, it's bordering on corruption and dictatorship, right?
Yeah, 100%.
Doesn't sit well with me either. No.
Yeah, me neither. Really doesn't. I'm hoping that enough people are freaked out about this and what he's trying to do that he won't get away with this. John Todd was the one who brought in the term limit so that nobody could hold on to it forever. And then MBS or whatever has only been in like 5 years. So he was the first one after John Todd, right? So he'd be getting rid of it really quickly. Like, it's just disgraceful. It's really disgraceful.
I agree. I agree.
Mm.
And the second thing?
So second thing was Charles Leclerc renewing his contract with Ferrari for multiple years.
Yes. So we've got Charles Leclerc staying in the Ferrari family where he belongs, in my opinion, for the foreseeable future. We don't know how long the contract term is. The teams are keeping that a lot more secretive. Well, just not making it public knowledge, probably for lots of reasons, and I'm guessing competitors are the main one. But that's, great news. Great news for Ferrari fans. Great news for Charles Leclerc.
It's great news for Charles. I mean, look, I think Charles is Ferrari born and bred, and I couldn't really imagine him anywhere else. To make that decision so early in 2026, the first year of new regulations, I just wonder if he could have strung Ferrari on a little bit longer just to see how the year was going to pan out, and are they going to follow through on their promises. I mean, I also think they must have promised him something big that the other teams weren't promising him, because I mean, Charles is not an idiot, and he wants a world title, and he bloody well deserves one, really, but I'm not sure he's going to get it with Ferrari. You know, I want him to.
Stop
obviously.
you. Enough. No more negativity against Ferrari. You look at where they were last year, Kira, right? And look at where they are this year. And then you've got the Lewis Hamilton effect, and he is clearly having a positive effect on the team. All the commentators are saying it. The results are saying it. So I think Charles has made a very savvy decision. So I'm shutting this down. All right.
You know what? You're right. I will go with that positivity, and I will move us swiftly on to the last point, which is not about Ferrari and not about Charles. And so the last thing then is Vegas and the extension of the contract to 2037.
2037. Holy moly, 11 years. That's a long time for a newish race to stay on the calendar.
And I didn't realize that Las Vegas is a Formula One created race. I you know, all the other races. Yeah, I didn't realize that. And I was always wondering why there was so much advertisement for Vegas in all the other races. And then somebody was like, yeah, they own that race.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's the only race that Formula One actually owns, and that's Vegas. You know, and in Vegas, there's like a Formula One plaza that's got all these different Formula One experiences that's there year round. Formula One's cashing in on the races themselves. All right, quickly running through the driver's standing. We've got Kimi Antonelli on top of the driver's leaderboard. So he's 156 points. Then a new second place is Lewis Hamilton, who is on 90 points in the Ferrari. George Russell has been demoted to third with 88 points after his disastrous. He ended up finished 12th on the weekend after serving a gazillion penalties that he was dished out. Charles Leclerc is in fourth on 75, Oscar Piastri in fifth on 60 points, Lando Norris in sixth on 58 points. Then Max Verstappen, gosh, seventh on 43 points. Never thought I'd be saying that sentence. Isack Hadjar, 29 points. Liam Lawson, 26 points. Pierre Gasly in the Alpine are also on 26 points. That's the top 10 in the driver's standing after Monaco. Now, we're coming up to a run. I hope you got your sprint shoes on, Kira, because we've got a run of races ahead of us, which is after this weird start to the season where I feel like there's just been no Formula One momentum really at all. It's coming at us. So we've got Barcelona next week, then we've got a week off, then we've got Austria, and then the week after that, we've got Silverstone, and then a week off, then Belgium, and then straight after that, we've got Hungary, and then the summer break. So, get ready, strap in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We deserve it. There's been too much of a
We
break.
do.
Can't wait.
Yes. I hope you guys enjoyed the hectic Monaco Grand Prix. You can't accuse this race of being boring. You can find us on all the social media platforms, Away We Go podcast. For the next race, download the Formula Live Pulse app and follow the race with all live telemetry. Thank you very much for joining us, Kira Gillen.
Thanks for having me.
And, thank you, everybody, for tuning in. If you're watching on YouTube, hello. Hit the subscribe button, please. Less than 10% of people subscribe to the ones that watch this podcast, so please subscribe. It really, really, really helps. Until next week, and until lights out.
It's lights out and away we go.
Away We Go podcast is produced by Diane Bortoletto.